Hi, Julie. So excited to speak with you and an honor to share this journey. You've been very supportive in the community, which is such a blessing to have that soul sisterhood. There's not enough of that. And I really feel like you encourage that in community with the retreats you do, the practices you lead, and all that you give out. So let's talk about all this. Julie is owner of Stretch Your Spirit, yoga teacher, profound speaker, writer, and leads retreats. So empowering women to really embrace who they are and like take it up. So really like raising consciousness for the divine feminine. Like you are like rolling with the tides, raising the vibes. So I'm so excited to chat with you. And oh my gosh, I read your bio. Teaching since you were 12. How do you like step into a room at that age? Now, age is like nothing but a number, and we're going to go to the other end of that that number, but to feel that strength and hold space for humans, for women at that age is like incredible to me. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I was raised in a small town in Western New York. And my mom, when I was about 4 years old, she founded a school of gymnastics. And so I started gymnastics and yoga because yoga is everything, right? And we're always moving and grooving with our bodies, but it's such a fundamental of gymnastics and dance and everything. So I was practicing yoga and gymnastics at a very, very young age. Started competing when I was about 5, 6 years old. And my mom, like I said, owned the school of gymnastics. And so she's been my mentor forever. And I started teaching literally when I was about 12. We had the Special Olympics team from our area. They would come to our gym to practice their routines. Well, some of the kids were paralyzed and they weren't on the bars and the beam and doing all the things on the apparatus. They were on the floor with me, and I was working with the little teenies, but they were paralyzed. And so we're sitting on the floor working on strength and balance and flexibility and sensation and movement and connecting mind and body, which is, as you know, kind of the definition of yoga. And so, yeah, I've been teaching since I was 12. And so that started my life journey, my dharma, if you will, of guiding people to go inward and recognize on a deeper scale who they are and their capacity for life and sensation, even with limited sensation. Um, and I love that. I love that my journey began as a part of my mom's journey. My mom is still a part of my journey and still a great mentor to me. And so I'm typically, bouncing things off of her when I have new ideas for retreats or have new ideas for yoga workshops or speeches that I'm writing or books that I'm working on. My mom is a real part of that. So she is how I began. She's sort of my inspiration still. And yeah, I've been teaching my whole life. It's my thing. It's why I'm here. I love it.
That that is amazing. Thanks for sharing. And how beautiful to have that generation, that lineage, that legacy of light and letting that like continue. That's huge. And so many of the sisterhood is broken sometimes between moms and daughters, sisters and sisters within the blood family. So that is incredible to be able to like demonstrate that this can happen. Love still happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that I'm blessed with the relationship that I have with her, and her amount of wisdom is just regal. I mean, it's really something. And yet she's so cool and groovy and down to earth. She's got a couple tattoos and she's still teaching. She's 83. She's still teaching in her community. I know. in Florida. She's a freaking rock star, and I adore her. She's really powerful force, but she's super vulnerable and super calm and groovy. So she can really go there and talk about some, I don't want to say private, personal. I want to just some really profound stuff. And I think that that's a very important part of our existence as young women, middle-aged women, aging women. We sometimes are so mired in our own experience, in our own reality, and all the shit we have to do, and all the things we have to take care of, and the to-do list, and all the pain, and all the things that the laundry, and we just get so not narcissistic, but we're living and we're involved in our reality. So for us to remember the generations before us, whether it's blood family or not, I mean, my grandmother is the reason why I love poetry and the spoken word. My other grandmother is the reason why I love to sing. I sing when I teach. It's wild, but this is what we take from those women who came before us, right? Whether it's your mom, your grandmom, whether you don't even know who they are, so maybe you're detached, and that's okay. But recognizing how profound the influence can be from the women who came before you, whether they're still here or not, whether they're related to you or not, whether they're your same age,
Yeah.
taking that wisdom from each other, making those connections, and being willing to open your heart and your spirit and connect. I mean, whew, that can be really tough. That can be really tough, but it's so important.
What do you think, where do you think that that sense of toughness comes from? Why it feels so challenging to make those heart to heart connections? I mean, I know there's like no concrete, but I mean, it's true.
I'll tell you a story. I, when I was young, I was bullied by girls. So when I became a young adult, it was very difficult for me to feel trust with other women. And it wasn't them, it was me. It was my own fear, it was my own shame that was just holding me tightly. And it wasn't until the last night of my first retreat, this was back in 2017, 2018. On that last night of that first retreat, we were all sitting around this beautiful big table beneath this monstrous, gorgeous tree in the Yucatan of Mexico. And everyone's sharing, except for me, because I don't do that. I'm super private and I'm truly, truly an introvert. And I shared. And I made that decision in that moment. Okay, it's time, Julie. You're sitting here as their guide, asking them to give, asking them to open, asking them to trust. And you're sitting here not trusting. And so I was like, oh, get over yourself, get over the fear. And so I shared, and I don't even know what I shared, but I shared my vulnerability. I just opened up about something that we're all going around the table. You know, there were tears, there was laughter, but it was just like raw truth. And I was just like, go for it. And so I did. And they sat and they held space and they opened their hearts and they were patient. They didn't say a word. They just listened and loved, and all was right with the world and fine. And I wept and it was beautiful. And then I took a deep breath and realized that I was still there. I did not self combust, you know. So going to that place of connection, like, oh no, what are they going to find out? Are they still going to like me? Am I going to find something within myself that's going to freak me out and freak them out? You know, I mean, it's, we're all humans. We have these fears, but sometimes it can take years to look at them and say, okay, I see you, I feel you, but I'm good. And I'm going to share, I'm going to free myself in whatever way that means. And typically, ooh, the gift on the other side is like, yeah, we, yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing that and to hold space for everyone to feel comfortable that you're able to create that stage. Like, to me, that's incredible to both be in retreat and lead retreat, to really say, I'm making this commitment to be held in a practice in a group. And I really like that one of your commitments, so it seems, is priority to practice, like making yourself a priority and alone time. Like for an introvert, that's a bit challenging to be like, in a world of extroverts, to be like, I love you, I like you, but I need to be with me. So, how do you encourage other people to be with themselves, make themselves a priority? And how do you manage your care as an introvert leading retreats? Like for me, I'm like, well, I don't know about that.
Right. Yeah. I tell you what, that was, I'm still working on it. I mean, I was going to say that was tough. So the thing is you have to be, I mean, I'm 56 tomorrow. I know. Yay. You have to understand what you need along the way. And you have to be willing to say, I'm going to give it. I'm going to give me what I need. And I am not feeling selfish. Self-care, everyone's like, oh, self-care, but it's cliche for a reason, right? Like we hear about it and some people are, I'm over it. Well, get over being over it, because it is the most important thing to take care of yourself, so you understand how to not only take care of others, but to encourage others to take care of themselves as well. Because again, we're so busy, especially in this culture, and it is almost like a competition. Please, really? Please, come on. It's not the competition who can get the most done and do the most things and volunteer the most and be on the most boards and have the biggest resume and the most money. It's who can say, I feel really good today. That should be the competition. I think that being able to say to women at a retreat, okay, I love you, I lead you, I'm going to go over there right now. And I'm going to take some time to go inward. So, y'all, that's awesome. You want to go hiking? Oh, that's awesome. Understandable. You want to float in the pool and chat with somebody else, maybe have a drink? Great. That's awesome. I'll see you there in a little bit, right? I'll meet you on the hike later. But right now, I'm just going to. So, to model that in front of people, whether it be my partner, the clients who come to work with me, my retreat women, to encourage them to do the same thing, but not judge them if they don't want to. I'm good if you don't show up to yoga. It's not a yoga retreat, mandatory yoga retreat. You don't have to show up for you. I will lead yoga every day, at least once. Do you have to show up? No. Do you have to show up for every sacred circle when we have our conversations, when we do meditation, when we close our eyes, when we practice laughter? Must you laugh? You don't have to laugh, but I'd love for you to show up and be in that space and experience that energy. So you can understand, okay, maybe it is yoga. Maybe it's a hike. Maybe it's laughter. What is it that really makes you feel cared for by you? We're going to try a lot of different things. Mudra, mantra, breath work, all the groovy stuff. We're going to try that stuff. Do you have to show up? No, I really hope you do, though. But no judgment if you don't. Absolutely. But you do you. And here's just a whole bunch of really groovy stuff. And by the way, we're going to practice a lot of stillness and a lot of quiet time. And in those moments, just be. Recognize maybe if you feel discomfort with that stillness and with that quiet. And then when we're sharing, that's kind of, I mean, nothing's mandatory, but I really want you to show up when we have our sacred circle for share time, because I want everyone to practice listening and just being. Happy hours later, if you all want to chat and give each other advice, even during share time, I will hold my tongue. Not all the time, because I'm a teacher and that's my job. But I will remind the women there, right now is a time to listen and hold space and be patient. And you may want to give advice. You may want to share something that worked so well for you. And I am asking you to take a deep breath, maybe put your hand on your heart, maybe remember that for later, and then ask her, hey, something, I thought of something while you were talking earlier. If you'd like me to share, let me know, because there was something that I did that really, worked really well for me. But if not, groovy, let's go and hang out in the pool, or maybe not. You see what I mean? So there's all these opportunities to go inward and realize, okay, this right now isn't about me. Or, wow, this right now is totally about me because I'm feeling da 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 da, whatever on my left side, or my mind just went to that situation with blah blah blah. Right here, right now, gosh, I'm just going to stay right here, even though Julie is saying, hey, let's go and stand during this yoga practice and we're going to move and flow. I feel like I need to stay in child's pose or just lie on my back and connect with me. So sometimes it is all about you, and sometimes it's not. But recognizing that difference sometimes is a really, really incredible practice, and difficult. This is why we call it a practice.
Totally. Practice not perfection. And it is beautiful to listen, whether it is to the sensation in your body, whether it is to others, or the emotional current. But I really appreciate that you're saying, like, in circle, it's holding that space to listen, because it gives you that opportunity of what shows up within me and the presence of what is being offered in this share time.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And then you can also take that inward to your still, your stillness practice, to be like, okay, if I can like, how do I handle this within me without the freak out? And yes, sometimes you still freak out.
Right. Triggered, right? And triggering is, I mean, we're humans. So feeling triggered is human nature. That being said, when we deeply listen, and by deeply listen, I mean just palms up, heart open, deeply listening, practicing patience, recognizing when you're triggered, number one. Number two, when you feel like you need to react with advice or your own experience, and recognizing how not insulting that can be to someone, but how that almost takes away from their moment, if you will. That's like taking that light that's shining on them, that they're shining on themselves, and saying, I'm going to shine it over here because I want to share my story and I can't hold my tongue. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all do it. I do it all the time. I've been a teacher since I was 12. I can't help it, but I'm working on it. So when we're triggered, I think, and I'm not saying that it's a good thing, and I'm not saying to do it on purpose to be triggered or to trigger others, but to recognize that we're all in this together. Like when I'm talking and sharing, or when some other woman is talking and sharing about an experience that was hurtful, that was painful, that is still there. Maybe it's a death. Maybe it's sexual assault. Maybe it's bankruptcy. I mean, the list is endless. The sky's the limit on things that we go through that are painful. But when we share them, and we know we can because the rest around us are listening, then that means I'm offering you my truth, and you are giving me your trust by listening, but also you're also maybe connecting with me because you've been through it yourself. And
That's,
that's such a relief.
yeah. Yeah, to the reminder, and I know that this is kind of what fuels me, and I feel like you've shared that this is what fuels you, is like we're not alone in this. And like if I have the courage to share and not hold back, then maybe you can unpack something that then lightens your load, and then we can both cry together and give each other a hug and move on.
Right.
It's like it's okay. And how beautiful to give that gift that it's okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
feel good, but it's okay.
So good, but we're safe in that moment. We're sharing and not saying that that's what the retreat is all about. I don't bring you on the retreat to go deep and to let things bubble up but they do sometimes. They just do. We have conversations about joy, and that might go deep. I don't lead, like the theme is not, like the theme of the day will not ever be what is your deepest secret or what is your gravest pain. That's never going to be the focus. Will it sometimes go there? Sure,
Yeah,
because where we go sometimes, and that's okay. And if it needs to redirect, it'll redirect. And if someone needs to go and lie down or go and be somewhere else, then that's okay too. But I think that it's, let me pause, let me back up. I know it's one of the most, if not the most impactful and valued experiences of women. However, it is one of our deepest fears. Connecting with other women
yeah.
is a
I,
big, scary. Every time I lead a retreat, and this next one in May 2024 is going to be my seventh one. Every single retreat, before the retreat, I can't tell you how many messages I get from women that say, I don't know anybody, or none of my friends will go. I don't want a room with somebody else. Well, you don't have to. First of all, we always have single rooms, but they go quickly. But anyway, that is the most common objection. I don't know anyone. I'm afraid to be among women I don't know. And I get it, because again, that was my deepest fear up until a couple of years ago. And every once in a while, it still is. But, and this is total truth. You can do the research yourself. Go to Google and type in "stretch your spirit" and read the reviews. The most common feedback I get is about the connections with the other women. It's amazing.
yeah, I mean, historically, we weren't taught to connect. It, yeah, I don't even want to unpack that right now, but we're not meant to. And historically, and how beautiful you're realigning what was severed historically, and within whatever frameworks we have, whatever layers that had showed up, that fear. And I really like not only are you willing to go deep and hold space, but you bring in aspects of joy and sexuality. And that's an even, I mean, even being joyful and shining light can be a fear because that's where the bullying comes in. That's where someone wants to cut you or pull the rug out from under you. How dare you be happy? How
Right.
dare you shine light?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
how, I mean, you're giving permission for women to be seen and felt and heard and express themselves internally and externally. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And it's so cool. So not only are we, having conversations and sharing, and that's all good and fine. That's verbal, right? That's verbal practice to shine our light, to find joy, to find healing. But physically, according to the yoga tradition, we hold our fear and our shame in the same area of the body where we hold our joy and our creativity and our sexuality. So these themes are not chosen randomly by me. I want you to know that it is 100% possible to feel sexy through midlife, through menopause, as you age, we hear so much shit out there. Oh, your libido is going to drop. Oh, you're not going to be feeling as you used to be. Well, that might be true. But I'm here to tell you that there are meditations, there are breath works, there are flows, there are movements. I mean, just look at what I'm doing. I'm circling around. This just feels good. It feels sensual and sexual. Practice that every day. And if that's what you do to connect with your sexual energy, you can do that until you're 900. I mean, you're not going to live to your 900. Sorry to tell you. But my point is, there are things that we can do to cultivate our energies of sexuality, because that energy never goes away. Some of our bodily functioning, yes, it's just anatomy, folks. But our energy will always be there. And we can, just like the garden, what are you going to cultivate? The weeds or the flowers? Right? So we can cultivate our flowers. We can cultivate that energy of sexuality and sensuality. And by the way, it's in the same area where we hold our capacity for creation and creativity. So get creative.
Beautiful to like rebirth and
Yeah.
bring life to yourself the
Yeah.
way I'm hearing you in like reinventing how you choose to show up and love yourself, you know? And I did share with you, but I wanted to share with everyone who's listening, and thank you all for listening. Um, you had a post that just really just like blew me away in that moment. You know, sometimes you just hear what you need to hear, but and I don't have full words around it, but the idea of responsibility with your sexuality. And you said, and I mean, you can always screenshot these. So when I do my little card readings, I'm like, screenshot it, but just in case you need it. But you're like, my sexuality is not his responsibility. It's up to me. I need to feel seen, heard, and valued, just like you. And like you're giving that on all levels. You're showing as an example, but taking responsibility for the your creative energy, your positive role in the environment, but like pleasure and pain, birth and death. And I say death because we have the cycles. I mean, our cycles go with the moon. Like that's a death of a cycle. So all that held in our womb, and you're saying take responsibility for you, take time for you, prioritize you. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for connecting with that post. Yeah, I posted a pic of my partner and I truly believe that it's not his responsibility to cultivate my sexuality. Is he a great lover? Yes, which is wonderful. However, if I want to masturbate, I'm going to masturbate. If I want to massage my belly, I love abdominal massage. It's so good, you guys. It's so good. Not only does it help to move your bowels, but it helps to release clenching. It helps to calm your nervous system. It helps to release back pain. I could go on and on about abdominal massage, but also moving slowly and thinking about how your body can feel like water and flowers and the wind and that's so sensual, and that is something that you can put on the priority list. Here's the thing. I have worked with so many women over the years. I've been teaching since I was 12, but I started to teach private practice about 15 years ago. And so over the years of working with hundreds of women and then doing workshops and interviews and traveling and retreats and my online membership, just about, golly, it's so hard to put a number on this statistic. Let's just say the high majority of women, and I'm not saying, when you're 20, 21, 22, I'm not saying younger women, maybe women after the childbearing years. So 30s, 40s, definitely 50s, 60s, 70s. The majority of women say that they feel disconnected from their sexual self. I have I have a form that they fill out. I've got proof that they also feel that they don't experience enough joy in their life. And they also say that they feel shame. I mean, we all feel shame now and then, but to identify with that, and the next question, right, being joy. Nope, I don't feel enough joy, but I feel shame. Like, they identify more with shame than joy. And according to the yoga tradition, our energy of shame and joy is held in the same space, this space of sexuality. And they're also saying that they feel disconnected from their sexual self. So do the math, put it together and realize that this can be a priority. Yeah, is the laundry priority? Sure. Okay. I'm not saying that your childcare and getting the bills paid and all of these things are not priority, and that all you should do is masturbate every day and feel really good and groovy and prioritize yourself all the time, and that's it. No, that's not what I'm saying. It doesn't take, and write this down, it does not take extra time. First of all, there is no such thing as extra time. Second of all, it does not take extra time to care for yourself. So many of us think, oh, I don't have time. Yes, you do. Don't tell me that. Are you standing in the shower? If you're standing in the shower, you have time to reach up to stretch your shoulder. And then maybe reach up with your other arm too to stretch that. I mean, are you standing there brushing your teeth? If you're not brushing your teeth, you should probably brush your teeth. But when you're brushing your teeth, chances are great you're just standing there. If you can't stand, then you're just sitting there brushing your teeth. There are other things that you can do while you're brushing your teeth. You can bend to the side. You can turn. You can put your hand on your low belly. You can smile. Like, you can connect with yourself. I don't buy that. I don't have time. I'm busy too, but I prioritize self-care. I prioritize my responsibility, that I prioritize the responsibility to keep my sexual self stimulated, balanced, however you want to finish that sentence. I'm going to keep connecting. It's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to pay the bill. Yeah, but it's also my responsibility to stretch my shoulders, right? I'm not going to get to a point one day and say, oh, I feel so disconnected from my sexual self. I'm going to keep practicing that. And tomorrow, I might feel disconnected from my sexual self. But the next day, I might reconnect with my sexual self. So this is why I call it a practice. It's not something that just stops and then we let it stop. You're still alive. Just keep practicing.
And like you're saying, like, you use both stillness and movement, right? And so it is knowing what your body needs, and just like seasons change, your needs change. And how beautiful to have all these offerings for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you teach yoga, you lead retreats. I have your website in the description. Is there anything we need to know about if we want to take your yoga class, if we want to sign up for a retreat, like those that are, you talked about a little bit of apprehension. It's like, how can we prepare ourselves to be ready for a retreat if we've never been on retreat? You shared a little bit of what to expect while you're in it, but like, how can you, like, even when you go on a vacation or something, there's still a little anxiety of like getting out of the house, getting packed, all the logistics of it. But how do we emotionally prepare to be present in that? Is there anything you'd recommend?
I typically answer notes and emails and texts when I hear any objections. I just say, sign up. You want to come? Sign up and come. Because we overthink it often, and we make excuses for why we shouldn't. Or we think that there's so much that we need to do before we go, or before we even decide to go. I just wrote an email in response this morning to a woman who's like, I've never practiced yoga. I said, it's not about yoga. If you want to come to yoga, trust me, you're safe with me. I know everybody and I know what you will need, and we will work with that. If you don't want to come, that's fine. There's always at least one woman at every retreat who doesn't come to yoga, and I'm totally fine with that. That's not my choice. So to prepare for a retreat, do you feel the need for rest? Do you feel the need to be still? Do you want to only focus on frolicking, going for a hike, setting down your phone for a week, going to get in the pool, and then coming back and taking a nap, and then going and eating the most luxurious food, farm to table, from the property in Costa Rica? I mean, it's just, it was explained beautifully. Last year, one of my retreaters who's been on, that was her third retreat so far, and she said, you know, Julie, the last retreat was a vacation. This one is an experience. She's like, I feel so grounded and clean and fresh and rested and alive. I feel calm, but I feel inspired. I'm like, oh, I was like, yes, that's it. That's what I've been going for. Thank you for sharing. I love it. And that's what I want you to want for you, because I've got you. I do all the planning. Get a flight. That's all you need to think about. I'll pick you up when you get there. Everything is taken care of. You don't need to worry about a thing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anxiety check, that's off the list.
Oh,
It does feel like if you have that inner urge, that if part of you is being called to that, even if other parts of you are kicking up with anxiety or uncertainty, that part of you that calls to that interest, ideally should be speaking louder, that there's something that wants to override the other parts, that knows there's something in this for me. And yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, every single woman who comes on retreat is really busy. 90% of the women who come are entrepreneurs. So they are leading a business and a family, and they are making it work. We've got 8 months. I mean, from now, or whenever you see this video, you've got time to set up who's going to care for the dog or whatever. You've got time to make that happen. If you choose not to come on retreat with me, that's cool. That's a big financial responsibility. That's a big time responsibility. But if you want something that might be a little bit more doable, I have an online yoga membership that's $27 a month. And there are over 80 videos in there. I also teach live practices where you can come and share and ask me questions and practice yoga with me. But my online yoga membership is called Yoga in Real Life, because again, there's no such thing as extra time. But I teach you how to practice yoga during your days, whether you're brushing your teeth, doing a bunch of chair poses, or standing in mountain pose or tree pose, or you're in the kitchen waiting for your coffee to brew. What else are you going to do? Put your hands on the counter and step back into a downward dog. There we go. This is what I practice, and this is what I teach my private clients. Like, I get to know where they are in their life, their timing, their schedule, their body's needs, their emotional needs, their mental needs. And then I guide their practice around what they need, but I weave it into their daily activities. Oh, after you play the piano, turn around on that piano bench and we're going to do some figure four. And she's like, oh, okay, it can work. It's a perfect time. I'm like, yeah. And that's what so probably maybe a year ago. And right now is September 28th, 2023. About a year ago, I was thinking of this online yoga program. And I'm like, all right, what am I going to offer that's going to be really good? And I thought, well, I've got private clients who have been with me for 15 years. I've got one, two, three, Jean, Mary, Barb, Sharon. They've been with me 15 years. I've got some who've been with me 8, 11, 7, 5, 6, whatever. I've been booked for 15 years. And so I asked them, I'm like, why do you stay? Why are you practicing yoga with me? What am I teaching you that is so valuable? I know I love you and you love me. And they said, because you teach me yoga in real life. You teach me how to practice like in my real life. I'm like, ooh, that's catchy. So that's what I named my membership. It's called Yoga in Real Life, because I want to teach you what you can practice while you're living, because I cannot give you extra time, but I can heighten your awareness of how you're moving. And if that's working for your body to move in that way while you're watching your coffee, then move more, do that more, do that every day. If what you're doing is not serving you, then let's modify. So yeah, it's things like that. But again, if you don't want to join me on retreat, that's cool. Maybe send that to somebody else, and you join my yoga membership instead.
Beautiful, beautiful. Again, the link will be in the description box. And how beautiful it's accessible, beyond accessible on the map, but accessible within your day. So you sprinkle it in
Yeah,
rather than a time block. It's because we're always should be in the flow. And what a wonderful way to make that happen. And just a constant check-in or continuation of life unfolding. So,
that's right. That's right. Because that's yoga, right?
yeah.
You
Well,
connecting with.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for embodying the practice, being willing to show up and sharing your time with me, with us, and sharing what you do and being a part of the community. It's been such a delight to share you in real time as well, and all the patience you've had with me when I kind of like figure a button, push how to push a button. So lots of love and gratitude to you, and thank you all for liking, sharing, and subscribing.